And then I hit the bottom. I've never hit the bottom at Nazare, ever, ever. So when I hit the bottom and I don't wake up and I'm still in the water, I'm like, oh, geez.
All right, welcome back to A Classic. I'm your host, Jack Akrop, and today we have Polly Ralda. Polly's a big wave surfer from Guatemala, entrepreneur, and good friend of mine. Really, really happy to have you on. Thanks for coming on, Polly.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, how you
I'm
doing?
excited. I'm doing really good. I'm This is my last day resting and I start training tomorrow again. So
Nice.
I'm enjoying the day.
That's awesome. Where are you from? Where'd you start surfing?
So I'm originally from Guatemala, from the city. Started surfing when I was 13 years old, and I had a friend from California that showed me how to surf and lent me a board, and I was in love. But it's not like a common sport to practice in Guatemala. It was relatively new when I started, and so it was hard to get boards. It was hard to know, like, we didn't know that we had to put wax on the boards for them to not slide, and we didn't have like Surfline or stuff like any app that would tell us like, oh, the waves are going to be good right now. So it's a lot of hit and miss, and I surfed there only on the weekends. I became like a full-time surfer when I moved to Hawaii when I was 21.
Hmm. So you started a little later then. I mean, you started surfing at 13, but you didn't really get into it until a little bit later on, 21.
Yes, I was just a weekend surfer like my whole teenage years, I guess.
Wow. What sort of motivated you to kind of take it to the next step?
Well, I love telling this story because it was so weird. I just saw it on TV and I asked all my surfer friends, like, would you guys surf a big wave like that? It was the final, the XXX final from Maya Gaveira and Kelly Kennedy. And it was probably already a repeat because it was on ESPN. So when I saw that, I was like, what? Is that a wave? Never seen big waves in my life before. And like, I didn't even know that girls could surf those waves. I have never seen these waves. And luckily, the first thing I found was a big wave and a girl. So I was like, whoa. So I asked everybody, like, would you do that? And everybody said no. So I said, I would absolutely do that if I had the chance. And then everybody was like, oh, you're such a liar. But in my heart, I knew I was like, no, 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 I would definitely do that. So I was like, maybe I say that I would do that because I'm a big wave surfer. I just haven't had the chance to surf a big wave. And that's how I thought that I was a big wave surfer in Guatemala. So it just became like my personality. It was really funny because I was like, oh no, the waves are too small for me today. And I had like this fame of like big wave surfer. And waves don't get big in Guatemala. Waves get like 5 feet max to beach break.
Hmm.
So I was like, always like, oh, I'm a big wave surfer. And then I never even saw a big wave until 10 years later from when I saw the big wave on TV.
Wow. And so what was that process like? I know, like, I'll just give you an example. For me, like, I was always scared of really big waves, but I started getting into downhill skateboarding, and so it was a lot of like visualizing myself. I was watching Grant Washburn's Mavericks, a documentary, and I just same kind of idea. I got really obsessed with it, but I wasn't a surfer really at the time, so I started doing a lot of downhill skateboarding and visualizing myself doing these things. So was there a moment, where you're surfing in Guatemala, even though the waves weren't really big, that you were kind of visualizing doing more with surfing?
So I guess I started when I decided I was gonna move to Hawaii. I decided to like focus on big wave surfing. I was like, I'm gonna move there and I'm gonna surf big waves. I don't know how. Never even seen a big wave before, but that's what I want to do. So I started in Waikiki from all places because I just showed up over there. I didn't know what island had the big waves. I remember I saw the Bethany Hamilton movie, Soul Surfer, and when
Mhm.
I showed up in Waikiki, I was like, this looks nothing like the movie. And I told my parents that I was going to do university, which I did, but my main goal was to surf big waves. So my university was in town, and I ended up living in Queens, like in front of the beach, right? Like the the break, Queens. It's like
Mm.
super longboard iconic short mini waves longboard whatever. And I was like, where are the big waves? Like the waves are so small. So everybody started explaining to me like, oh, the big waves are in the North Shore during winter. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm on the wrong side of the island. But yeah, I used to surf Queens, and I used to always pretend like this is gonna be a huge wave. Pretend like this is a huge wave. And like I still have friends from Queens that still remember that I was like almost delusional because everybody was like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm training for surfing big waves." And everybody was like, "Okay, like this is random, you know?" Like, and I didn't know how to longboard at the time at all. You know how like in at Queens, you only go if you're like a professional longboarder. I've never seen a longboard in my life because in Guatemala you just use shortboards.
Yeah.
So I would see all these girls walking on the board, and I was like, whoa, that's trippy, but I've never seen that before. So I'm just going straight with my board, and people are like, what are you doing here? But they were always like not mean to me. They were just like curious, you know, like you're very dedicated, but like we don't know what you're doing here. So I enrolled myself in a competition, the China Unamuras. I don't think they even have the competition anymore. And it's for longboarders. I don't know how to longboard, but I'm just delusional, I guess. So I enroll myself in this event. I lose. I don't even like, I don't know how to do a nose ride or anything. So I'm like super bummed and I'm crying in the corner somewhere over there. And this guy shows up and he's like, oh, how did you do? And I was like, I lost. And then he's like, oh, why did you lose? It's like, oh, because the waves were not big enough. He was like, do you like surfing big waves? I was like, no, but I know that if the waves like, get big, I would definitely would. And at this time, it's like middle of summer. There's no big waves. It's just like 3 feet maximum. Waikiki. So this guy's like, if you wanna surf big waves, I'll take you to Waimea Bay. And that was like the place that I was looking for. So I was like, would you really? He was like, yeah. Give me your phone number, and I call you in 3 months or like two, when the first big swell comes. I'll take you up to the North Shore, but you gotta train because I was really skinny at the time. So I was like, sure. I didn't even know how to train for surfing. I didn't even know what was a gun, like a big wave gun. So this guy calls me out of nowhere, and 3 months later, and I just knew this guy was gonna text me. I trained every day. I did what I could, you know, as of like training. And I remember I was going every single day to the gym and I was telling everybody, it's like, oh yeah, it's because I'm going to surf big waves in 3 months. This guy is going to take me there. And everybody was like, whoa, this chick is actually delusional. But I had some sort of feeling that it was going to happen for some reason. So he called me one day and he was like, hey, there's the first big swell. Do you want to come? I'll pick you up tomorrow. And I was like, sure, let's go. And that's how I got my first big wave. He drove me there. He lent me a gun. I got my first wave. I think it was like 8 feet Hawaiian now that I think about it. Felt huge. You know, it was like the biggest waves I've ever seen. It's probably pinballs breaking. But after that, I was like, I remember I went to university that day and I told everybody, like, you guys, I'm a big wave surfer now. Like, I knew it, you know? And
Yeah.
I didn't know like it was just the beginning of a long journey. But that was my first big wave.
That's awesome. Can you run us through that session a little bit? What was it like? What was the feelings and the anticipation driving over there? I mean, you must have been. I mean, were you scared, or did you think you didn't even know anything about it, so you weren't even scared? You were like, oh, we're just gonna go ride White
I
Man.
I didn't know anything about it, and I think I was very like oblivious. I've never seen a big wave before. So it's just something that I'm chasing and I'm like dreaming of and I'm seeing in magazines, but I've never seen it. So I didn't know how was the feeling gonna be. I was just always mentalizing like if the opportunity comes, you have to go. You have to, you know? So I guess I just
Yeah.
took a lot of opportunities. And I would say like that was how life played for me. some people were like, oh, you're going too fast, you don't even have the skill, you don't even have talent. But people don't understand that I've been like dreaming of this day for 10 years. Of course I'm going to say yes, you know? And I think like something that has always been like, I guess a good thing is like I don't get scared in the ocean. So I would always go choose or like put myself into heavier situations probably than I was ready for, but it was just like I guess my nature.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you got to have that a little bit, right? I mean, obviously, it's good
Yeah,
to be
I just
prepared and all that, but you at some point you have to go, you know, and that's awesome that you have that because you know you kind of need it.
I would not do like for example, I don't like heights that much. So for me to force myself to be a skydiver is not something that would be on my nature. I would learn how to like it maybe in the future, but like for example, or like driving fast in a car is something I don't like doing. And I see a lot of people
Yeah.
that want to surf big waves, but they're so scared. And I was like, I just do this because I feel like it's on my nature. You know, I might not have talent or whatever, but something that I really enjoy doing. I enjoy when the set comes. I enjoy getting scared. Most of the times I even enjoy getting pounded because it's just like part of it, you know. And I
Yeah,
always knew that if you enjoy the whole thing, I guess it's worth give it a try.
absolutely. Well, you're not shy of putting in the work. You know, I've definitely seen you over the years, and it's been fun watching your evolution and seeing you just really going hard at it. I mean, you really do work really hard at your craft, you know, and it's cool to see. It's, you know,
Yes, because and that's always how I always tell people like I never had a talent. I didn't grow up surfing, you know, like my parents hated that I surfed. Like I kind of had I hid it for a little bit. It was like my secret. I wouldn't tell anybody I was surfing because in Guatemala, surfing is like super. Like, what are you doing? Like that's for drug addicts and losers, you
wow.
know. And my mom is a really successful ballerina, like ballet. So she's like a high end
Mm,
person, and everybody in her circle are like, "Are you a surfer? Like, what does that even mean?" So in my country, they never supported me. So it was
mm.
like my thing that I suck at, but I really like, and so I was like, I have to put in the work because it's just not gonna come in naturally, you know. It never did. So I knew I was very patient with myself because I knew that my mind was way ahead of my body, and I knew this is gonna take solid like 5 years for me to start getting it. I was just going on these massive waves and not making one wave. No. And everybody was like, whoa, this chick is actually like suicidal. Like, what are you doing? But I was like, I even like didn't take the insults very personal because I said, it's okay, Polly. Like, they don't see your vision. Your body doesn't handle it. But one day, if you put the time, you will get to that point. I would not recommend this approach to anybody. You know, I was really young. Like if I were to start surfing big waves now, I would do it completely different. You know, I would learn how to surf properly first. I would like start training. I would put like my body in shape first to handle a wave or a wipeout. But back then, I was just 20, you know?
Yeah, and you got to start somewhere, right?
Yes, of course. So I started just sending it.
A little. Hey, so you were living over in Honolulu, and then when did you decide to move over to the North
after
Shore?
that day,
After
after
that
that
day,
day,
it
I
was
lost my
boom.
deposit. I was like, I need to find a house here in 15 days because I'm moving. I switched universities because it was the beginning of fall.
Mm,
So I switched universities and it was like a whole journey. Like I had to drive 1 hour to the nearest community college, but I was like, I don't care. And I lived in front of Sunset Beach, and that was like my first like introduction.
mm.
And that's
And
how I,
so is this right around when I met you? Is this right
this
around
is
that time, or a few years after, maybe?
a few years after you met
Okay,
me already.
2016 or something. So
Yeah, so I
almost 10
was
years,
living
8
here
years.
5 years already.
Okay.
So it was a slow process, I would say, for me to actually get normal at surfing big waves.
But you made it happen.
Made it happen. I was persistent.
That's the main thing.
Yes, I was very persistent.
What's your training looking like these days compared to the beginning when you're just
So,
starting out? Have you? Yeah.
so the thing is, I was lucky enough to have a mentor. Her name is Sylvia Navuko. She was one of the first girls that actually started
Mm.
surfing big waves, and she was a triathlete, and like she her parents went to the Olympics. So she was full like psycho training like all the time. And I was like, whoa, Sylvia, you're kind of gnarly. And then she took me under her wing and she was like, you know what? I'm going to take you out. I'm going to take all the heat for you. I'm going to defend you against all these guys. Because when I started surfing big waves, it was like the edge of like, it was still old school. I started surfing big waves without a vest. It only until a year ago I started using a vest because I had so much that mentality of like old school
Mm.
that when I started with Sylvia it was only guys and a few girls, and I was like the last person that made it in from that generation. You know, I remember the last two girls that started surfing was Emily Erickson and Rena, and there was that also old school mindset, you know. So you were like, I was like at the and this weird transition moment. Like the bay wasn't that crowded. People, there was no flotation. When I was, I think when Greg Long gave me my first flotation, and it was only one cartridge, like cartridge.
Yeah, cartridge. Yeah.
Yeah, cartridge CO2, and I was already like I already went to Jaws without flotation. So it was a transition moment. So Sylvia was like, if I'm gonna take the heat because all these old school guys are gonna yell at me, I need to know that at least you're gonna be safe and you're gonna train. So she was a really gnarly free diver. And everything she told me to do, I was doing it, but I didn't understand why. She introduced me to functional training, and that was something that nobody was doing at the time. So I started training, I started free diving, like really, really free diving like her. Not like, oh yeah, let's go K diving. Like she was full on training on negatives. And I was like, what does that mean? And like without like oxygen in her lungs to make like simulation of depth. So we were like training hardcore with her, and she was like, she really put a structure in my brain that was like, we have to have endurance because big wave surfing is all about endurance. We have to be uncomfortable. So that's why we're going to train on negatives because big wave surfing is like being comfortable while being uncomfortable.
Mm.
So she really did put this on my brain. And then I noticed, like, at first I was like, I see all my friends and nobody's training like me or Sylvia. And I'm still kind of like not getting better, but I was surviving the craziest wipeouts ever. So it's like, okay, at least it's working. And then, and then I noticed that I had the worst wipeouts, probably I still do, and I was never getting hurt. Like all my friends started getting like knee surgeries and hip replacements, and they were young. And I was just like training. I was like, maybe the training is helping. I don't know. And then I was like, no, 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 for sure the training is helping because I solidly trained for like now I think for like 8 years.
Mm.
And then I started freediving, and I think that was the secret for my success, I would say.
Learning to be comfortable underwater, getting pounded.
Yeah, because I never panic when I'm underwater. I'm always like,
Yeah.
I black out so many times training on freediving that I'm like, I even know how blacking out feels. I know when it's gonna come. I know, so I just enjoy it.
Mm.
It's weird, but I push my limits so hard that when I get pounded on surfing big waves, it's almost like just a part of it.
Yeah. Well, you're preparing before it even happens. So when you get out in the ocean, it's you're comfortable when you go underwater.
Yeah, so that's how I got introduced to training, and then kind of like my professional career came a little bit early. It's always that has been my
Mm.
life. Like I've been given these opportunities and I haven't been ready. Then I'm like, do I take it or do I leave it? And they invited me to participate in the first Bahi challenge. So it was the first time women had a possibility to compete,
Mm.
but it was a Jaws. And I was like, Joss is so heavy. I'm not ready. I mean, I'm gonna be like next to Billy Kemper. What am I gonna do? Is I gonna say no or I'm gonna say yes? And that was the first time I actually had a mental breakdown. The month prior to that, that's when you met me, like right after the Peaje challenge. And
Wow.
I've never experienced that much psychological pressure, like I kind of knew I wasn't ready. None of the girls were ready, to be honest. And it was, I knew they were gonna do this event on a really big day. And I was like, I had so much anxiety that I actually had a like an identity crisis. And the moment before this event, I was always so confident. I'm like, oh, I got this. Yeah, no worries. I actually served Jaws and I went on a bump, didn't make it. But I was always like, yeah, sure. Like very, not like aggressive, but also not very like frustrated or like tense, about the whole subject.
Mm.
So after they invited me to this event and I said, yes, I'm going to do it, you're on call. So I suffered for a month and a half. I couldn't even go to school and I was on a scholarship because I had so much anxiety and I gained 30 pounds.
Before the contest.
Yes, before the contest because I was like, it was like, I swear, I think I lost my identity. I bleached my
Well,
hair.
what was that? What was that? You just didn't feel like you fit in, or you didn't feel like you belonged there. What was that feeling?
Well, it was something that was never been done before. None of the girls have served Jaws on an event ever before. Most of the girls had never even met each
Yeah.
other. Most of the girls have never served Jaws. So it was like the beginning of like the future we thought at the moment of big wave surfing. And I think nobody felt ready, but nobody
And it
like
was like
some
100 feet.
it was like 60 feet. No, it was like 40 feet. It was really windy. And surprisingly enough, I got a wave. I got number 7 in the world that year. I ate shit
Nice.
halfway. But
Hey, got a win.
after that, the story doesn't end there. It goes tragic. I saw my friends, 3 of my friends had really bad injuries,
Mm.
like life changing injuries. Their surfing career took a turn. And I think the psychological pressure, the everything that happened after that, because I was like, am I a professional surfer? No, clearly you're not. Wait a minute, I got 7th in the world. You fell. Overall was good, but everybody got hurt. But I didn't get hurt. So it was like a mix of like, I didn't know how to feel about the whole thing.
Mm.
Overall, we were not, like, you can see it 2 ways. Like, we were not prepared as the guys, but but at in the other way of seeing this event was we did what we could with what we have. So some people were applauding us, but we were receiving a lot of hate. Also, like, oh, these chicks are gnarly, like they don't even know what they're doing. I even wrote an article in the inertia like about it because I was like, well, it was our first time. It was so windy. Like we did what we could. And luckily I didn't get hurt. But after that, I got introduced to the professional surfing life and I just party. I just literally party. Because I went from the crazy chick to actually she kind of sends it. So I was like, oh my goodness, I got invited to everywhere. I got accepted into so many like groups and like I kind of like they level me like, oh yeah, she's gnarly. So the boys were accepting me and I was like partying like a crazy. And then I think like my reality shifted. Like I came from this mental breakdown to this like moment of complete release, like, ah, that is done. And then I just partied for a year. That's when you met me.
Nice.
Yeah, and after I partied for a year, I was never on a right mindset. I'd stopped training for the first time in a long time. So after I started partying, I just kind of knew that my spot was always going to be there because I started getting invited to all the events. So I was like, oh yeah, and plus I was number 7, like they're always going to invite me. Until they didn't invite me because I was doing nothing but partying. So when I didn't receive an invitation, I started getting even like more tense about like, okay, did I blew this before it even started, you know? And after that, I had a really bad wipeout in Puerto Escondido, and that just like fully messed up with my mind because it was not the wipeout. I got hurt, and it was the first time I got hurt on one of these
Mm.
crazy waves I went, and I wasn't training. I was partying my life. I just got uninvited to Big Wave Tour. There wasn't a tour; it was just a Bahi challenge, but at the time it was a tour, or that's how they called it. And then I just got hurt on like TV. Like everybody saw it. And I made it to Wipeout of the Year. I almost win. And I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh, this sucks. So after that, I took a break from competition and I didn't know how to feel about big wave surfing. I was like, why did big wave surfing became competition?
Mm.
And that's when I kind of like, I didn't know what to do. So I decided I'm going to train for a year and I'm going to give it a one next chance. And then when I was ready to come back, I got pregnant.
Wow.
So I was on denial. When I got pregnant, I surfed every single swell and I surfed better than ever. I was like sending it because I trained again. I got sober. After the wipeout, I got sober since then, I'm still sober.
Mm.
So I changed my life. I was like, okay, enough of the partying, enough of like all the crazy things you're doing, and you just have to focus because you're getting old. And I always thought I was going to be in because I was young when I got in. And I guess at the time they didn't have much choice. Like people making the events were like, who are 10 crazy chicks that want to come do this event? And there was me.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. So then after I got pregnant, I said, now I have a daughter. I cannot be crazy. I need to train even 10 times more than before. Have to really focus on what I'm doing and I have to do it good this time because I was always doing it my way and like partying and like doing, yeah, sure. Sure. I used to smoke a lot of cigarettes too.
Mm.
I was crazy. I was looking at the way smoking cigarettes. I became like this. I
You and
thought
me
I was
both.
Nathan Fletcher, but I didn't surf like him. So it was just chaotic. It was terrible. So after that, I start training. I get so in shape. I'm like, I'm ready to win something on the Olympics because I look shredded. I'm like sharp. And then after that, COVID comes and there's no events. So I was like, I train a whole year for nothing. Like, there was a time that you couldn't even surf here in Hawaii. So I was like, oh no, another year kind of like wasted, you know? But then I did really good on a swell, and then I got invited to the Eddy, and that kind of like refueled my okay. I'm doing this. I'm on the right track because my biggest goal when I started surfing in Hawaii was to make it to an Eddy, and that was me always saying like, you guys, I'm gonna get invited to the Eddy, and people were like, this chick is actually delusional. Like, there's no chicks on the Eddy, and you actually don't know how to surf. Like, shut up. And I was like, no, but there's gonna be. And by the time they invite girls on the Eddy, I'm already gonna be a good surfer. So I had this huge thing on my wall that said, get invited to the Eddy. And like all the goals I had, and people made so much fun of me. Because I was like, of course. I'm like, I don't know how to surf. I surf okay. Smoking cigarettes, drinking beers, full like, yo, I'm gonna get invited to the Eddy. And people are like, no, you're not. So then when I kind of like got my shit together and finally I got the invitation, I was like, I knew it. I knew it. But it took all this like catastrophes and mental breakdowns and all of these things. And honestly, I got out of it because I was like, why are you afraid of? If you're afraid of wiping out, that is a logical, reasonable explanation for you not to surf big waves. If you're afraid of drowning, if you're afraid of getting hurt. But if you're afraid of what my people think, because that's how the mind shift happened. I was like, everybody saw me wipe out on TV, you know? And I shifted, like, I'm afraid of people seeing me wipe out.
Mm.
So when I came back to my, I don't give a shit about wiping out, I'm doing my best mindset, that's when everything came back kind of like as the beginning. And I did competitions fairly okay for 2 more years after the invite.
Mm.
And I decided that my goal wasn't going to be competitions in Hawaii anymore because they were not happening pretty much. I got invited again to Big Wave Tour or Peahi Challenge, but since I got invited 5 years ago on a road, they have not had the event. So I was like, I feel like my focus is off because you're training for this event or like for the psychological part of the events, and the events are not happening. So it's just a waste of your mind, like worries. And then I saw that you were going to Nazare, and I was like, I need to go to that wave because I'm like obsessed with big waves. So there's something about that wave that I really wanted to go try. It's like it gets huge, it's big all the time, it's crazy, it's scary. So I went there to try to train in 2002
Mm.
to try to train for my paddling events here in Hawaii.
Mm.
But then
But
I
yeah,
went there,
get some practice because
get some
it's big
practice
all
because
the
it's
time.
it's big all the time, and you can do a month that here's kind of flat. Over there, it's already bombing. So
Mm.
you already do a winter in 1 month in Nazare. You do a winter in
Yeah,
Hawaii,
yeah.
or even 2 winters in Hawaii. So I was. That's kind of like where my focus shift. I was not having fun in Nazare because we were paddling from the shore,
Yeah.
and the shore break is so gnarly. I'm not used to cold water. So I was like, I'm like about to get traumatized in this place. And I was only getting one wave, if anything. And then I had to like do this mission all over again. So I feel like I'm just like getting really strong and really traumatized because I just get like 40-foot waves landing on my face all the time. And that was most of the sessions. Like you get a wave and that was it. You battle and battle to go back in. Maybe you get lucky, maybe not. So actually, you were the first one that took me out.
I
Do you
remember when you
remember?
showed up there. That was a
You
good
took me.
that was a good day.
That was a good day. You took me out in the afternoon. We went together. We paddled out from North Beach.
Yeah. So was it did we go from the North Beach or did we didn't go around the lighthouse? We went
We
from the
went
North Beach.
around the lighthouse. Yeah,
Yeah, we went around the lighthouse, I thought. But it was pretty
yeah.
big, wasn't it? It was
It
like
was it was big.
15 foot, like
It was
Hawaiian
15
style,
feet.
30 foot
Yeah,
faces.
and I was just like,
Yeah.
whoa. So then, in that same trip, I was kind of like in my mind because I was putting so much effort on the competition side. My goal was honestly now was like I need to do good because then I'm gonna make some money and I can keep on doing this. Because if I
Mm.
don't do good, I have to work triple on my other life to get money to surf. So all my money was going to surfing, like funneling to surfing, 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 and it gets expensive. And none of the girls have sponsorship. Honestly, 5 girls now, including me, get paid for surfing. So it was, and the competitions were not happening. Every year there were like less and less, and until there was none. So I was like, oh, I need to do good. And I was like, wait a minute, there's not even a contest over there. So I was like, kind of like thinking how to make this work. How can I make my surfing life work if I'm gonna try to be a professional surfer that's not getting paid for surfing? How does that look, right? So then I
Hmm.
went to Nazare with you in that trip, and I went tow surfing one day with Lucas Chumbo. And then my sponsor saw me, and he reached out and he was like, we want to sponsor you. We have a CBD brand, Mankush, and
Yeah,
we
Monkush.
want to sponsor you. And we have jet skis in Nazare and this and that. And I was like, what? So from one surf session over there, my life changed completely. And then he was the one that gave me the option. He was like, Polly, if you're not happy doing these competitions that are not even happening,
Yeah.
I'm paying you just to represent my brand. You can do whatever you want with the money. So I was like, can I be a free surfer? Like I should have been my whole life. And then he was like, sure, I don't care what you're doing as long as you're not crying all the time. Because I was crying all the time, like, oh, this event so and so, like, oh, this event's so unfair, or like, oh, this event that I'm finally qualified didn't happen. So he was like, just surf. So he gave me the chance to go again this year and just become a pilot, like a jet ski pilot and a tow surfer.
Mm.
And like, I was like reassessing my goals. My biggest goal before the Eddie was to get the biggest wave I can possibly get without dying. That was like my goal. And when I was seeing these waves at Nazare, I was like, whoa, that 80-foot wave, I feel like I could do that. Because I always think I can do those things. It's kind of weird. So then when I
It's
got
always possible.
into tow surfing, I noticed that the waves I was getting, they were like really big in compared to what you can. I'm 100 pounds, 110 now, 105, 110, and I'm 5 feet tall. There's a limit on how much of a big wave I can get paddling on my little hands. But in tow surfing, like all my disadvantages get like switched. My board can be super heavy. So now I'm not a light person anymore. I'm a heavy being with my tow boards. Also, like, I don't have to get my own wave. Like, my driver picks the bomb for me. So even though I still love paddling, if I get invited to the area, I will for sure do it because I paddle. But I also, like, I know my goal of getting a record wave, it's actually attainable. So I decided I was going to switch to getting or attempting to get the record because the record is also political. You never know if you're going to get it or not. But at least I want to have an attempt.
Yeah. Well, you had a big wave this winter, didn't you, over there? You want to run us
I
through that one?
Yeah, so um do you want all the story or just a little bit of the
Yeah,
story?
let's have the whole story. You can talk about the wipeout or the whatever wave you want. Let's get
No,
into some
so
big wave stories.
so when I went the first time to train with my team to Nazare,
Hmm.
I had this idea in my mind. I had an idea of who was going to be my driver, who I was going to learn how to drive with. Because in Nazare, if you want to get towed, you have to know how to drive.
Mm.
So it's you're not going to be able to be like
Because
every when I.
people want to trade with you, right? They don't want you just getting towed, right?
It's a mix of everything. And
Yeah.
when you're getting towed, if your driver falls off the ski and you're on the ski with him, you're the first person you have to drive, and you're gonna rescue him.
Hmm.
So nobody wants to take you if you just want to be a surfer.
Yeah.
Like the only reason why they would take you if you have a lot of money, and they would not take you on a really big day.
Yeah.
Like, no, thank you. You have to be a driver if you really want to commit to a tow surfing life. You have to
Mm.
drive and surf. So when I went there, I was like, when Lucas drove me that time, and it was fine. But then I was like, hey, who wants to tow me? And everybody was like, do you know how to drive? And I was like, no. And everybody was like, no, sorry. And I was like, wait a minute, like, please. And everybody was like, no, you need to know how to drive. And it was like the same answer. And then I understood why. So when I went to Nasser with the team, my sponsor was like, you need to you need to come train with Anima. But I was like, but I want to train with this other guy. So he's like, okay, see if you can flow with him. And if you can't, I want you to train with Alemão. I ended up not flowing with the guy. We get into this huge argument 5 minutes after I started training with him. I was like, my heart was broken. Like, I want to train with this person for 2 years. I make this whole thing in my brain, like I always do, like, we're going to be a team and this is going to be great. And he's going to give me the world record. It's going to be great. And nothing happened. It was not good. And I was like, well, change of plans. What am I going to do? So I had this vision of Alemão. He's one of the best drivers, if not the best driver in the world. But he doesn't want to train more people. He's focused on Lucas Chumba right now. He gave Maya Gaveira the world record for the girls, and he gave Sebastian. So he has given the two current world record holders the record of a tow wave.
So
So
he
his
towed
last,
Sebastian into his most recent world record. Wow.
not the one that hasn't been measured right now, the one that was
Okay.
the
Yeah.
one that he has the record for right now.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I know how Alemão, all my friends used to try to like call him like, Alemão, can you be my driver? And the guy would be like, no, thank you, bye. So I was like, had this like idea of him, like, this person is like way too above me to even want to work with me. Even if my sponsor was paying for my whole thing, he was gonna be reluctant. I knew he didn't want to train me, pretty much. So I showed up and I was like, "Hi, I kind of fought with who. So do you want to be my driver? I know Sully offered me, but I don't know." And he's like, "No." And I'm like, "Please, please, please, like, you're my only option." And he was kind of like offended, like, "I was not even your first option. Like, why are you asking me?" And I was like, "I really want to do this. And like, you are it. If you are not it, my dream is over. Like, you're the only driver that can give me what I'm looking for." And like, at that time, my sponsor was going to pay for a little bit of like classes. And I was very honest with him. Like, I've been honest with everybody my whole life. And I'm honest on Instagram. I'm honest with everybody. I was like, "Listen, I am a paddle surfer. I'm not a tow surfer. For you to get to like me, there's two things that you're going to have a lot of: positive imagination." And he was like, "What does that mean?" I was like, "And patience. You got to be really patient with me, like saint patience. And positive imagination."
And you
That,
told him this.
yes, I was like, positive imagination, because I'm probably going to eat it. I'm probably going to fall a lot. And you just have to think in your mind, esto va a dar certo. That in Portuguese and English just means this is all going to work out in the future. So just think positive. When you see me eating it on a 40-foot wave, just think this is all going to be good in the future. So I was just like, I was not flowing because I had the pressure of like, I fought with the driver. I'm the new girl. Nobody knows me here. Everybody thinks I'm like delusional. Again, it was like the beginning, but again, on another like sport, because tow surfing is kind of like a different sport. So I was like, I was always like, I was so nervous. I could not even ski. I was like so nervous. I could not stand on my board. And by this time, I already bought a jet ski here because I was training from the first time I went to Nazare to the. So I went to Nazare last year on 2022 October. My goal with the pilot that I fought with was, you need to buy a ski. You need to train every day on the ski and tow surfing and everything. And when you come back, we're gonna be more ready. So I was, I at least I knew I could ski. But I was so nervous I could not even be on my board. So everything was a disaster. The first time I went training with Alemán was a disaster. The guy would tell me, "I can't wait for your last day to be over." And I was like, "I know, I can't tell." And he was like, he was just looking at me and he was annoyed. He was like, "Wow, you're so persistent. Like, how do you do it? Like, you're so persistent. And I would always be messaging him like, "Don't forget about me. We have a class today. Wink, wink. You can't ignore me. Like, please, please. I'm gonna show up at the harbor. I'm gonna be there ready, even though you don't want to take me out." And the guy was just like, he's older too. He's not like a kid. He's like a grown up. I think he's like 55 years old, solid, famous. He's super famous. He has like 200,000 followers. Like, he's sponsored by every single brand you can possibly think of, and he's the best pilot in the world that gives people records. What was he doing training me? Wasting his time. Like, he was like, until the end, one day he was like, "I don't even know how I am still training you because I didn't think we're gonna last one day. It has to be God, because this has to have like divine intervention for me to be doing this for you." Because I wasn't even paying him. So then the last day, we kind of like vibe after he said that, because I knew like I was like getting in his heart, like a little bit softer over there. So then I kind of like focused. I was like, wait a minute, I know how to. I got invited to the Eddie. I know how to surf. Like, what the hell? So I got my mindset right, and we flew like we were flowing on the last session we had together. And he put me to so many crazy barrels. And I was not making some, I was making some, and it was like maybe like 12-foot barrels. And we had this moment of like connection between me and him. We actually got the sickest photo ever. He's driving me, my filmer is filming from the water, and I'm just in this barrel, and it was just like open barrel. And I'm like, whoa, is this really happening? So then after that, we had a meeting, and he was like, I'm going to give you another chance. You have to calm yourself because you're too wild. Like, I was like, just crazy, like, like kind of nervous, I guess. And I need you to train on the rope. And when I see you in 2 months, we're going to see if you're capable of what you say you can, because I was always like, yo, Alemão, do you think you can give me the record? The first time I saw him, the guy was like, first you need to stand up on the board and learn how to ski. So I come back and I message Alemão every single day for 2.5 months. I was like, are we still on? Are we still on? So my sponsor that lent me the skis, he was kind of like suspicious. Like Monkush was suspicious of me going again. So they didn't want to be kind of like, he was like, are you going to need the skis again? Who's going to be your driver? I was like, Alemão, I convinced him. And he was like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah. I convinced him. I'm going to pay for him this time. Like, it's going to be solid, And I had to work a lot on my mindset because I was getting too excited, too nervous, too like confused. And I was like, I need to be solid when I see him again. So I went again. A month ago, I was still there in February after my birthday. I went for a month and it was just a really good trip. We started really small. So every day was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the other trip we started and it was huge.
So, but by then you were warmed up.
Yeah, I was super warmed up. So
Ready.
everything just went perfectly. So I was super warmed up. There was a day that I got what was at the time my biggest wave. And it's just like, I'm not really a toe surfer yet, like me and Alemán flow way more. But at this time, it was like, I didn't know, like when you toe surf, you have to be willing, like able to read your driver's mind pretty much. So I have to see the guy, he tells me something and we have like a communication that just happens with time. So he put me into a bomb. He said, go left. And I was going right. And then in the middle of the way, I'm like, wait a minute. He told me to go left. So I go left and I get annihilated by like a 30-foot whitewash. Because I made it to the base of the wave. But I go right. And then the last moment, I decide to go left. So pretty much I went semi-straight. You can see me changing the direction. I was going to totally make that wave. And it was like a 35-foot bump. And then I got so pounded. Like I got exploded. I'm going to show you the video if you want. I made it to the sand and I was just like, oh my goodness, I'm over it. I want to go home. Like this shit is too crazy. And then he was picking me up from the sand and I was like, no, leave me here. And he was very persistent, like, no, come. So I went back and my team this time was very different from the team I had before. This time I did team with Kalani Latansi, which is one of the best watermen in the world, Maria Fernanda Foto is my photographer. She's a swimmer. And Lucas Chumbo, he's like, 100-foot day is funny for him. And I was with Alemão, because Alemão was driving Lucas too, and this girl named Alessandra Marinelli. And Ale has the vibration of the ocean. She has never yelled. She never gets frustrated or like, like she's just so calm, and she's such a good surfer, so calm. She does everything for the right reasons. She's a businesswoman in Brazil, so this is like her way of decompressing. She doesn't need to make money out of this. She doesn't need to prove the world she's good. And she's in the team with Lucas and Alemão. So having the team over there with me, just like relax, just go again in 30 minutes. Think about your life, have fun. It just changed my mindset. I was like, whoa, this is how it should be. Like, I should be having fun. This is Nazare. This is like what I dream of my whole life. Like, why am I so serious all the time? Because I think after being so not serious, I was forced to be serious about everything and about the wave and be calculated and don't make mistakes. You already made enough mistakes in your life. And then I was like, just relax, enjoy. Your sponsor is paying you to enjoy this thing. Finally is your time to enjoy. So after that, I focused, I started breathing, and I got two really good waves. Like after that, I would say 30-foot lefts, like really, really, really good waves. And I've made it all the way to the end. So that gave me the courage, because the next day was going to be like 50-foot, a 50-foot day. So after knowing that I could do those, after I was like, okay, I can do this. Just don't go straight. I can definitely come back tomorrow, right? So then I was the big day where I got the biggest waves that I've ever gotten in my life. I showed up late because I was just tripping about the day before. Like, I couldn't even sleep of the adrenaline. I was like, whoa, I kind of did it, So I kind of got lost in the day before, and I didn't get ready for tomorrow, if that makes sense. So I showed up in the harbor without a surfboard.
Nice.
And then I got interviewed by the 100-foot wave, and just the things just started happening. And then I saw my past driver, and I got super nervous. And then he said, "You had some bumps yesterday. I saw it from I was driving, and I saw you. Congratulations." And I was like, "Whoa, this guy called me like a freaking kook like 2 months ago, and now I'm getting a congratulations from him." So I was like, "Whoa, can I do this? Can I do this?" So I have this thing that when I'm not cautious, I get super excited, and when I get super excited, I just go for anything, and it sometimes is good, but sometimes it's not good because I get too crazy. So if you're too crazy, have that happen to you? You have seen me in that state of frantic.
Yeah.
Either I'm holding back or I'm frantic.
one or the other.
So I was like, please
But
flow.
it sounds like you're finding your happy medium now.
I did this time. I was like, okay, just find your just flow, relax and enjoy and just flow. So as I'm going out of the harbor, I start talking, because when I get excited, I talk. So I was like, yo, Anima, do you think I can get the record one day? Like, tell me the truth. What you saw yesterday, just like fishing, like you saw yesterday, you saw it in me. And he was like, yeah, I think you can get the record, but first you have to bring your board to the lineup. And that just brought me to step one again. Like, I go 100 years, like, that has always been me, like I always think about the best possible scenario in the 20 years from now, I go there, and usually I travel from here to there. So as we're leaving the harbor, I'm already calm. I'm not thinking about the record anymore. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I gotta bring my surfboard. You're right, And then we see, and the waves are huge. And they're coming from peak one and almost behind the cliff. So Alima was like, are you ready? You want the record? Yeah, we're gonna get the biggest wave of the day. And I was like, no, 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 actually, no, no, no. I was kind of joking, like, mm-hmm. And he's like, you don't joke like that with me. I give people records for a living. If you want the record, you ask for it, we're gonna train it, you're gonna have it. And then I got like, whoa, I was already on the rope. And I was like, please don't fall. And as I was going, I was almost losing my balance. And then I was like, focus, focus. And I didn't fall. And I think they say I got like one of the biggest waves a girl has ever gotten there. Obviously, after the girls that got the record wave, like after Maya, Justine, and Michelle, I got like the fifth biggest wave that ever has been ridden over there. That's what was people were telling me. I could not believe that was me. I saw the shadow of the wave behind me, and the sound of like that shadow has a sound. It's like a mountain. It's so weird. Like it just like whistles. And after that wave, I was shaking so gnarly that I was like, did that really happen? You know, I've been like dreaming of this day for 15 years.
And you made it happen.
Yeah. And after that, I got the biggest wipeout of my life, obviously. So my biggest wave got shadowed by a wipeout. So that's my life. I'm okay with it, you know?
So you're,
It
so you're
was
saying your biggest wave, they showed the wipeout over your biggest wave. Got shadowed by it.
my wipeout went viral.
Yeah.
So
Well, as it always does, people want to see people fail, you know?
and it was
And
5 seconds
get
after.
beat, get worked.
I got that wave, and then he got me on the right. I think psychologically I gave up before the wave, like before I even like had a chance or not making the wave because I was shaking so hard from the adrenaline. I asked
Mm.
Kalimau like, should I cry? Because I didn't know what to do with that much adrenaline. And I surf big waves, like I've surfed Jaws, surfed Mavericks. You know, I've been getting pounded by huge waves, but the feeling that that wave gave me was something that I can't even, like, I cannot express. Like my body didn't have an outlet. I was like, yeah. It was like, wait a minute, should I cry? And he was like, why are you gonna cry? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know what to do right now. I'm like confused. So then he was like, let's go on the right. And I saw the right was bigger than the left. And I was like, okay, let's try. But I saw like everything went on slow motion because I saw my hands grabbing the rope like this from the adrenaline from the wave.
Mm.
So I was like, oh, geez, there we go. Let's see what happens.
Where at peak 2? Like
The right
the
was
next peak
from
over?
peak 2. The left was
Nice.
on peak 1. And I could
Mm.
not believe I got away from peak 1 because usually people take a while like to get away from peak 1.
Yeah.
Not anybody can get a left from peak 1. You have to put your time, and your driver has to be good. Like say not a good driver, like I am a driver and I try to put somebody on peak 1, I'm going to get yelled at.
Yeah.
So after that, I had the biggest wave and biggest wipeout all in one session in less than 5 minutes all together.
A whirlwind of emotions, I'm sure.
Yeah. And
Run us through the wipeout. What happened?
so you want to hear something weird? You know when you're going to fall asleep, you think about like falling out of a building? Sometimes or like falling down the stairs that you go like
Yeah.
my quick dream of my body when it's tired and wants to fall asleep is having that wipeout. For 15 years, I've had this wipeout in my dreams.
Wow.
So it was a very surreal moment. Like I knew I was gonna wipe out when I let go of the rope. Like it just like it felt like it. But then I was like, whoa, I've been on the wave for like seemed like 15 seconds. The wave was so big, it just kept on growing and growing and growing. And I was like, oh no, I'm actually solid. I'm gonna make it. So I was like, okay, I got it. I got it. And then I hit a bump and I was like, oh no, I didn't get it. And then I kind of like stabilized myself, but I went back too much. So I eat it. And when I'm eating it, I already know because that's my wipeout. I'm not gonna penetrate. I'm gonna just roll. So I roll like 6 times and I start rolling and rolling and rolling. And I'm like, and this is when the wave gets me and throws me over the falls. So when in my dream, it's 1 second my dream. I'm going over the falls, but I'm breathing. So I kind of knew I had to breathe because I lost all my airs when I was rolling. And then the wave gets me. And for 1 second, you don't know what's going to happen. But I knew because I always had this dream. So I was like, breathe. So I had a full like 6 seconds as I'm going over the falls that I'm breathing. So I'm like, and I put my nose like this and I secure my arm and I just land. But I was so calm because some point, I thought I was dreaming. So I'm like, I'm dreaming. I want to wake up. And then I hit the bottom. I've never hit the bottom at Nazare, ever, ever. So when I hit the bottom and I don't wake up and I'm still in the water, I'm like, oh, geez, this was really a wipeout. But my brain, it was so similar to the dream that I've been having my whole life that I'm like, am I gonna wake up? No, this is not the dream. So then I was like, okay, Kalani is my second safety. He's the grabber of Nazare. That's his nickname, the grabber. So I know Kalani's gonna come pick me up. It's
The
gonna be a
grabber,
long,
like he goes and picks people up.
yeah. So he gets paid to be the grabber, and that's his nickname in Nazare. He's the grabber for WSL. He's like a good waterman. So if he sees somebody, he throws himself in the water because he's such a good swimmer. He doesn't have a vest even. He swims 50-foot Nazare with no vest, just his hand and his fins. So I knew Kalani was my second safety on the ski. So I was like, I got this. I just have to stay calm because if I panic, I'm very like I'm so underwater. I just touched the floor. So then I was like, it's almost like I had an intuition. I I'm gonna pull my best, but I have a feeling it's not gonna work. I pulled my best and it didn't work.
Wow, it didn't work.
It didn't work. But I
Oh my
kind of
god.
knew it was not gonna work. So I just started swimming and swimming and swimming. And I was so worried because I was under for so long that I was like, I was just mentalizing when you go up, don't take a breath, like don't start breathing because the other wave is gonna land on you and then I'm gonna drown. So
Yeah.
I actually went up and I saw and it was like this, and I saw that I still have some moments to breathe. So I had one hook breathing before I went under the next one. So I went and I just like did and then went down and I remember my best didn't work. So I was like, great, I can dive under. Because if I was inflated, and I think that's really what saved my life in this case, you have a choice. Either you breathe or you deflate your vest before you're gonna get the next explosion, right? You have 1 second. You can't do both. You gotta do one really good. Obviously, you're gonna choose breathing because you've been under for such a long time and you just went over the falls. So I was like, if I would have had the best uh, fully inflated, I think I was not gonna penetrate that wave and then I was gonna get pounded, like gnarly pounded. Because I saw Kalani coming, but I still had to take one on the head. So I
Hmm.
went under it. And then as soon as I surfaced from the wave, Kalani grabbed me and I was out of the impact zone. But I know if I would have had my best inflated, I was going to get inflated and just destroyed.
Wow.
So,
Pretty intense, huh?
you know what? I didn't feel like it was intense. So there's a story after the story. I was like, I knew I lost my contacts. And as soon as I got there, even Kalani was like, you told me you've had this dream your whole life. I was like, bro, it really did happen. And I told this to so many people before it happened that there was another guy, this is Bruno, my friend. He was so weird. He's like, Polly, that was the wipeout dream that you always had. The way you describe it, it was the same. And I was like, I know. So people can verify this story. It was really trippy. So then after
It's
that, I
like a
go
premonition.
kind of, but it kind of prepared me of like, it did prepare me. I knew what to do. I actually, half of the wipeout, I was so calm because I thought it was a dream. So then, listen to this. I go to the house and Alemán is like texting me more than usual. Like, you got a bomb today. I'm really proud. Like talking to me, like trying to like encourage me or some reason. And I was like, yeah, thank you, boss. What's up? And I was like, let's go surfing. Can we surf second session afternoon? And then he was like, do you want to surf again? It's like, sure. So I showed up to the warehouse, but then I haven't seen any photos here. I haven't seen anything. So I told everybody, like, you know what, guys? I feel like I'm under a lot of adrenaline and I'm afraid I'm just going to go not do, I want to say a bad word, but I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to go and like not do anything right now, you know? So he's like, I think you should rest. You had a really bad wipeout. But everybody was like staring at me weird, you know, like, do you still want to surf? Like all my team, right? And I was like, yeah. But then you know what? Yeah, I'm kind of on too much adrenaline. I could tell when I'm like on adrenaline. Usually you don't think straight, you just send it. So then I get home, I get internet again, and I see that Tim Boniton tagged me and he asked me, are you okay? And then I start receiving like 50 messages. My sponsor asked me, do you want like, he has like helicopter medical assistance. I was like, what? And I was like, what happened? But I
Wait,
literally,
just from the video? Like why were they?
because Tim Boniton, he's my friend, and he posted, and he was trying to call me because everybody thought this chick died. Like they saw me
From
getting out. But I was just so naive. I just lost my context and I was having a laugh attack like, wow, Aleman, that wipeout was intense. Poor Aleman almost dies from a heart attack. But he saw me so well because I came back to the harbor. I was like, should we go again? You know? That he was like, okay, no, this girl, she's cool. But nobody else saw me. So then I
Wait, so
remember
you left the beach and nobody saw you leave the beach, basically.
he we left with Kalani, Maria, and Aleman.
Hmm.
I went home, I showered, I couldn't even eat. And I was like, I'm gonna try to take a nap, but I couldn't take a nap. So I was just pacing because I have so much adrenaline. I was just pacing back and forth. And I was like, I'm just gonna text Alamant to go surf again because the waves are so good. So I text him, and that's when I grabbed the car and I went and I was like, can we surf again? And he was like, do you wanna surf again? I was like, well, actually, you know, I'm afraid that I'm under so much adrenaline that I'm gonna like ruin the session pretty much. And he was like, yeah, Polly, I think you should rest. The wipeouts was really gnarly. And I was like, really? I mean, I didn't feel it because I didn't feel it at all. Zero. So then I go home and then I see all the messages, probably like 60 messages and like requests. And I was like, what? And I was like, at the time I didn't even see the size of my wave or the wipeout. I was just like oblivious. So I just go and then I see the message from my sponsor. And I was like, what is this? And then I see that Tim Boniton, he's a famous videographer, posted me on his story. And the photo he got from that wipeout was so heavy that it's probably one of it looks like the heaviest wipeout in Nazare almost. Like iconically, because there's some photos that are iconic. And Tim was like, this is iconic, you know, like that everybody was like, no, this chick died. So everybody was just, and he has like 500,000 followers. So everybody was like, are you alive? Are you alive? Are you alive? And I was like, oh, this sucks or what? And then I was like, wait a minute, am I okay? So I was like, yo, Maria, come and check me out. Do you think I have something broken? And Maria's like, are you in pain? It's like, no, but bro, I think, and I was like, I think I hurt myself, you know, like just has to be something wrong with me after this. So I started having panic attacks that I was under so much adrenaline that I didn't feel that I have a broken bone or something.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Now you just handled it.
and I was like, my ear has to hurt or something, but nothing hurt, you know? So then I started getting worried because people from all over the world were calling me and like texting me. So I was like, there was like a dinner party that day. And I was like, I didn't want to go. I didn't want to eat because I was under so much adrenaline, like I said 20 times. But I was like, I need to go so people in this town and in the world know that I'm alive because I don't want to do a message like, hey guys, thank you for calling me, but I'm alive. You know, like I was just like, I'm just going to pretend like I'm fine because I'm actually fine. So I went and had dinner and I was like making stories of me eating, like, look at me, I'm alive. And then after that, it was the first time. It was so weird because I feel like in my life, every time I need to perform, I never do. When I really need to do things right, I never do. When I'm like, whatever, it is what it is. I'm just gonna go surf. That's when I get the biggest waves. But it's never in the like in the competition or in the contest or in the format that I needed. It's always like it comes randomly, you know.
Mm.
But this time, it was the only time in my life that I had to perform, and I did, and then I didn't. But I was never used to be like that kind of center of attention, you know?
Mm.
Everybody was like in Nazare the next day. Everybody was like, you, you're gnarly. You, casca grossa. And they were like, the people from town were like, oh, casca grossa. Like, they were just, everybody was like, who is this little girl? Because I look like 16 when you don't see me, when you don't see the wrinkles. From far away, I look like 16. He was like, who is this little girl that got the bomb and that survived the craziest wipeout in history and was laughing after I saw her in dinner? And that was it.
Wow.
And so the next day, I was so worried about me not being all right. It's the mind is a crazy. The mind is crazy, you know. I was like, is it possible that I'm 100% fine physically? I guess it is because nothing is hurting, and I was sure like maybe I blew up my eardrum. No, nothing, not even one single like nothing. So I was like, I have to be traumatized, right? Normal people get traumatized after this. So I asked Alemán, like, should I stop surfing right now? What do you think I should do? And he's like, are you scared? And I was like, no, but I think I should be because everybody's so scared for me. Like, everybody thought I died. And the guy was like, and the best didn't even work, you know, like so like casual. But then I started figuring out like there is actually something wrong in my brain. There has to be. So Alemán was like, if you feel fine and you're not scared and you're not hurt, that I still cannot believe you're not, let's go surfing tomorrow. So I was like, okay, let's go. And I was afraid of like, am I gonna be traumatized? I don't think so. And I wasn't. So then we did things differently this time. We had a very slow, when you leave the harbor, I wasn't hyped, like, let's go, send it. You know, like how I'm always am. He was like, let's just breathe. We need to do this right. I think you can get the world record, but we have to go slowly and we have to do it calculated. So we did some training in the harbor, and he noticed something about me. He noticed that when he drives fast, that he has to drive fast when he's putting me in the wave. I get nervous and I let go of the rope because I don't know how is like the speed. Because usually when you're paddling, when you start feeling the speed, it's like the time to stand up. But because you're towing and you're already with the speed of the wave, I always have the like, when do I let go of this thing? You know? So he was like, I'm gonna tell you when to let go. This is gonna be a sign, let go. Just focus on me. Don't look at the wave. You know how to ski now. And he winked at me and I was laughing. So when I do like this, you let go. And I got so many good waves, almost as big as the left that I got that day, but it was completely different. The feeling, the approach, it was slow. You know, like everything was slow, calculated. I didn't fall. I didn't do anything crazy. And then I think that gave me the thinking that if I'm going to do this, I have to have this mindset of let's take this slow.
Slow is pro.
Yes. And
Slow
yeah,
is pro.
that was it. So the only thing is like when I came back to Hawaii, I slept for a month.
Really? Like actually, like you were.
I was barely leaving my house. So tomorrow, like I said at the beginning of the interview, I'm gonna start my training because
Mm.
I trained the minimum, like once a week, because I was so exhausted. But then I was seeing the waves. I found I didn't even have time to post all the waves or do anything like that. And the wipeout and the other wave went kind of viral, so the other waves are smaller. So I didn't even have
Mm.
time to put the other waves or anything. So I found a folder with the waves. I got some pretty gnarly waves and some pretty gnarly wipeouts, everything in between. And I was like, oh, now I know why I had to sleep for a month. I still don't have my voice
Yeah, it
back.
happens.
Yeah. So yeah.
So what's next? You got some exciting things in the works. Sounds like
So I am putting up. I own this business. It's like a surf club. It's called Big Wave Babes, and
big wave babes.
Big Wave Babes. And I want to pretty much empower women to have access to surf big waves if that's what they want to do, or to encourage them to surf 3 foot waves, but with confidence. I
Mm.
think like my journey has been so all over the place, and I see how big wave surfing is almost like a dying sport for the girls. You don't see 20 big wave surfers that are dedicated to surf big waves since I started, you know?
Mm.
So I don't want this effort, collective effort that we did to go to waste. So if I can facilitate girls that want to surf big waves, like opportunities or resources, like we're going to have a retreat, and at our retreat, we show them how to have a good mindset. We're going to connect them with coaches. We're going to connect them with the North Shore lifeguards. They're going to learn how to drive a ski. They're going to learn how to safely ride the ski, operate it, and save people. Like they're going to become assets in the water. And we're having 2 of those retreats, and we're planning on having way more. I want to do one with you in California, because I have a lot of girls from California asking me, like, would you do one here in Santa Cruz? And I think it's like, I never had that in my life. I would always have to message random guys from the other side of the world, like, hey, uncle, you don't know me, but do you think you can train me? And it's like, I don't know you. So I think that if I can make this easier for girls and make it like a girl environment, like they show girls like you don't have to have a boyfriend that's your driver for you to go get these big waves. You don't have to message 20 random guys. You can be your own. That's Maxi. You can be your own pilot. You
Let's
can buy
see.
your ski. You can do these things by yourself and get your own waves. Like you don't have to be guy dependent because it's hard. Guys have. That's Maxi.
Maxi.
You have to like rely on guys. Most of like successful girl teams, like girl with guy teams, the girl is girlfriend of the guy, and I'm like, what if you guys break up? And the girls are, yeah, I'm afraid, like, yeah, we can break up. So I only know one other tow team only of girls, and it's Micaela and Micaela Fregonese and Joana Andrade. They're from
Hmm.
Brazil and Portugal, and they're doing great. And what I want to do is show girls that they can do it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So hopefully, we can have more retreats. I would love to do one in Santa Cruz with you too, because I know that's
Yeah,
what you do
let's do
with
it.
junior guards. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Well, I've got my business that's kind of a offshoot of junior guards, but similar idea to um, other organizations out there, things like Bragg and these organizations just teaching people ocean safety, teaching people how to be safe in the water. Um,
Yeah, and I think
and that's the biggest thing. I think the more people that are teaching these aspects, the better. It's like
and
um,
some
it's
girls
vital.
are not comfortable reaching out to guys to
Yeah.
learn these things. And that's why I was like,
Totally.
I don't want anybody to go like through what I've been through unless it's like necessary. I I figured out the wrong way all the time. Like I was like, I paid a lot. I did everything wrong. I was not safe in the water. I did all of these things. And now that I kind of figured it out, I want to show people because it's like such a shortcut. Like there's a way of doing things right. And if I
Yeah.
can show people like, don't do it this way, it's easier if you do it that way, that would be like a full circle moment for me.
Well, and that just adds to evolution, right? It's like taking what you've learned and then passing it on to people so that they can do even better. The next younger girls can be even better big wave
Yeah,
surfers.
and honestly, I feel like when I was surfing just for myself, and this is like we can end the interview soon, I've never felt satisfied. I never felt satisfied with my surfing. So I was like, I could do this better. I could do this pickup better. I could do this better. And now that I'm starting teaching or passing along the knowledge, I don't want to be called a teacher. Right now, mostly we're gonna.
Well, you're a teacher, whether you like it or not.
I feel so contempt. I know that I'm gonna be able to leave big wave surfing when the time is right with a happy heart, not with like, oh, I wish I did things differently. It's like becoming a full circle for me.
Yeah, that's an amazing thing, right? It's like when you do something for somebody else, it's a better feeling than doing it for yourself.
Yes, and I that's the first time I experienced that is when I put Delia on a big wave. The first time I drove Delia, my partner, my business partner, on a big wave, I felt better than almost any wave I've ever gotten. I was like yelling and screaming, like it's like you're able to give like a gift to somebody, and like giving the gift of knowledge to these girls, and I'm so grateful that girls trust me to like come and train with me. We're already sold out the first retreat, and we have 2 weeks, and the other one is
Mm,
half full. And I'm like, whoa, these people are coming from all over the world to come and like learn something from me.
yeah,
So yeah, it's been great.
no, that's amazing. Well, I'm really stoked for you, and keep up the good work. I look forward to. Um, basically, once you do this retreat, we'll kind of announce doing something in Santa Cruz. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what I want to do with Santa Cruz is for the people that are working is do like 2 weekends intensive for so more people
Hmm.
can join.
That'd be great. Give us a little rundown. What are some things that would we be doing? People would be learning.
So first, so the big wave retreats are focused on mindset, wipeout preparation, safety, and how to become an asset in the water.
Mm,
So it's not super oriented on big waves because a big wave is relative. For a person from the city that doesn't get to surf, a 3 foot wave is big. So
mm,
some people panic with a 3 foot whitewash. And I just want to everybody to know that whatever your limit is, it doesn't have to be 100 foot. Whatever your limit is, you can do it safer, you can do it better, and you can like control your mind and not have like imposter syndrome. Because imposter syndrome happens from 2 foot wave to 100 foot wave when you're surfing those waves. So I just want to give like encouraging and the tools for girls to go out in the world and do it better than what I did. Pretty much.
Pay it forward.
Yes.
Well, that's beautiful, Polly. Well, thanks for coming on. Do you have anything else you'd like to add before we?
No, thank you so much. I
That was
already
really
talked.
good.
I talked for like an hour and a
No,
half.
good.
That's why I don't have a voice. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much, Polly.
Okay. Bye bye.